I want to go a little further here in this video and show once again the assembly of these parts here. Now remember, you have the clips here. You have the clips, and these clips have a step to them. The clip is flat on one side, and it's got a little step on the other side. And depending how you orient these parts, how you install them in line with the other parts that they hold on, they will provide clearance on one side, better clearance on one side, or less clearance on the other one. Now, where you have to really, take that into consideration is the top clips, the ones that clip onto the boom supports. Now, while I'm at it, I want to bring out a benefit to these particular clips, and also another reason why I select this particular hardware is that these clips not only provide support for the camera mount and landing gear, but they also hold these booms up against the main frame. Now, if you have one of these models and you don't have any of these upgrades set up, you probably have found that these booms can slide out of the sockets, the molded frame sockets, with use. And the more you hit things, the more you crash. You might have cracked some of these parts. Now, with this particular setup, you're not only introducing, as I said, support for the existing landing gear camera mount, but you're also reinforcing the booms to the frames, because these are clamps, and once you have all this hardware installed, it provides a nice clamp up against the main frame. The other thing that also holds it in place is the battery camera mount support plate that we include in the kits, being that it's a one piece, and then also provides a reference for installing these 4 mounting screws, which also hold onto the clamps and just holds this whole assembly as a bracket. It holds it all at 4 points, nice and tight in place. So that's one of the benefits. But anyway, going back to the clips, make sure that these particular clips at the top are installed with the flat side of the clip facing up, not down. That will provide you with the clearance that you need to do this installation of the battery easier than if you had the clip mounted inverted, and then you have a little more material on the way of the battery. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, you should be able to go through this process as I'm going here, very, very easy. And there you go. Okay, I want to talk about option B here for those that really want to have this particular area clean with no bolts sticking up and holding the top of the frame and the landing gear camera mount. Now, bear in mind that with this option B, you're not going to have the support, the bracket support that I was talking about earlier in option A, being that these clips will no longer be there, and you will not have these parts holding on the top and bottom and clamping it on the booms. So you're not going to have that feature there once you do this particular option B that I'm about to describe. In option B, what you can do is remove these bolts, and instead of using them as spacers with the nuts, what you can do is glue this plate here directly to the bottom of the battery mount. Now, by doing that, by gluing that in the same orientation as you see here, with the landing gear in this position, using the 2 white plates as your reference, this being the front, here's a side view of the landing gear, and if you glue that plate directly underneath this battery cage here, the existing plastic battery cage. By the way, the battery cage is made out of ABS. ABS is very easy to glue. It's not as strong as nylon, but then again, if it was made out of nylon, it would not be able to hold on to the part with CA glue as good as ABS. ABS has a little more grab to it when you're talking about gluing 2 parts of ABS to ABS, or ABS to G10 or fiberglass in this case. Now, in order to prepare for this particular option B installation with the plate being glued to the bottom, you're going to have to scrape some of the paint if this particular plate has been painted. If it's and we do paint some of these plates to offer colors, to offer color options. So if your plate is painted, just scrape some of that off in the areas where you're going to glue directly to the bottom of the stock battery cage. Now what that's going to do is going to place a permanent plate on the bottom of the battery cage. You're not going to have these bolts in the way, and now you have your fully open area here where you can also install the battery in the same position as the stock form. You're not going to have these bolts, as I said, but you're still going to have the plate mounted to the stock frame, and you can still mount the landing gear in very similar way to we have it mounted here. Now when you do that, you're going to have to reverse these long bolts, reverse them, and have the flat sides on the top here to provide an opening here, and you're going to have to use only one nut from the bottom, and once that's done, you're going to have to trim those screws so that they don't stick out at the bottom, and that will provide you with the option B, which will give you a unobstructed area here between the top of the stock frame and the battery mount, camera mount plate. So that's your other option B. And once again, there are other options, but they would require a full redesign of the complete frame, something that I've considered, something that I've done as well for myself, but it just encompasses a little more work on the user part of disconnecting the wires, and not many people can do this very easily. You know, disconnecting these little tiny wires, when you start disconnecting things, you know, electronics and electrical connections such as these very tiny wires, you run the risk of breaking one, and then it's more of a hassle trying to repair it and trying to do that than simply just being very careful with the stock setup and just do these retrofit items such as this particular landing gear camera mount. Now, not many people are going to be flying with camera mounts, and most people are just going to use this particular setup for the benefits that I talked about. A little more rigidity, a little not so much rigidity, but more landing gear stance. You have a little more stability, more than rigidity. You do have some rigidity there, but you also have flexibility in a hard landing, and you have enough space here to allow you to cushion that fall without hitting these parts and without risking breaking the boom as you would otherwise if you did not have something like this. Now, I have seen some people put landing gears, stock landing gears from other products into the Blade mQX, and those are, from what I've seen, they're very big, they're very rigid, and I'm almost certain that they're a lot heavier than this particular setup. These particular parts are done with a lot of thought in mind, and it shouldn't be any news to people that have been buying our stuff for a while. It's just the approach that I take with these things, and you have to be logical, and you have to have a balance of things, but you also have an understanding that some pros may have some cons, and if you're able to accept some things for what they are and within those limits, I think you'll be happy with the product. I really like to set up on my particular mQX for the benefits that it provides, and so I basically just leave it on. I had to take it apart and put it on back onto the model for these particular videos, but this is the way it's going to remain, and all I have to do is just put the canopy on the model, and you can use any of the canopies that we have at our site, our Phantom and our Edge canopies, flying saucer canopies, or you can use your own if you want to go that way. But basically, that's the way that mounts.